You're watching PowerNation.
Today on Engine Power, we head north to Factory 5 Racing to check out their updated high-tech facilities and help assemble a brand new one-of-one prototype.
Hey everyone, welcome to Factory 5 Racing. Yes, you're still watching Engine Power, but every now and then, Frankie and I get to get out of the shop and go out and do something cool. So we have traveled up to Wareham, Massachusetts to Factory 5's beautiful facility. A lot has changed since last time we were here, and we'll get to that later. We have a history of some epic builds with Factory 5. We have done their Mark IV, their E18 Coupe, their 33 Hot Rod. We even built the very first 35 hot rod truck. But we are here today for something truly special, and we are honored and excited to be a part of it.
The Mark IV Roadster is one of Factory 5's greatest creation. It's an amazing car with a timeless design. But today we're actually going to be working on something brand new and updated with modern technology, and that is the Mark V. Now this is a great opportunity, and we're honored to be a part of the very first one built here at Factory 5 Racing, and it has a really cool power plant. But I've actually never been here, so before we get to any of that, we're going to do a quick tour and look at some of these new facilities, and then we'll get to work. Since 1995, Factory 5 Racing has been the leader in manufacturing build-it-yourself component replicas that perform as good as they look. Located in Wareham, Massachusetts, they have consistently pushed the boundaries of what a person can build in their garage by developing kits that are built with high-quality parts and easy to assemble. Factory 5 has spent a lot of time trying to make their cars as user-friendly as possible. And not only do they come with detailed instructions, but an awesome customer support system from the Factory 5 team itself. Constant innovation has been the driving force behind Factory 5's growth and has culminated in a state-of-the-art facility with almost every process performed in-house and constantly advanced vehicles like the Mark V.
When you were here last time to now, the company has gone through huge changes, and we had, an opportunity during COVID. We couldn't go on the road, we couldn't go to shows, and so we had a bolus of money there that would normally go to marketing and sales that we didn't use. And I thought this is a great opportunity to kind of what's called vertically integrate, to bring more processes in-house. So we brought more laser cutting in-house, more CNC bending in-house, really built a building next door, invested in manufacturing in the United States, and so that's what we did. And we spent about $3.5 million, took about 2.5 years to integrate all the technologies, but showing you guys around, it's kind of like, wow, looking back, we did a lot. As the company gets older, your legacy costs go up. And so we had to bring more processes in-house to keep our costs down. But one of the advantages of bringing the costs down and bringing the technology in-house is now you can do it better yourself. The CNC tube steel cutting, just the tube steel laser and the CNC bender, our roll bars are perfect. Our foot boxes, our cages, our race cages are perfect. Now my welders are like prima donnas. If it's not perfect, they're like, I can't work at this. Like, where were you 10 years ago? You were making it work. Bandsaw to laser cutting is, Stone Ages to atomic age. It started with truck. Jim and Jesper in engineering were saying, if we had this cutting technology, we could manufacture a tube frame, basically pre-runner truck. And the Mark V was hinged off of the Gen 3 Coupe technology. That was all enabled by the laser cutting and the CNC we brought in-house. So, 1, 2, 3 seconds worth of a cut, and it's a perfect cut like butter. No grinding, no deburring, no fitting, no hammering here, no filling with weld. It changes everything. All the engineering work in the world, you stack it all up together. It doesn't mean anything until you drive the car, until you put your foot down on the floor and you see how it drifts, how it handles, how your steering input, your braking, your throttle can change the attitude of the car. The Mark IV, when I drove it the first time, I remember saying that this car delivers perfect car control, which is the opposite of the original Cobras. We did an original Cobra with you guys, and I spun out on the first turn. It's like oversteer monster, nose heavy, tons of throttle, and our Mark IV is a really well-balanced, easy to drive, kind of like a golden retriever of race cars, right? Well, when I drive the Mark V, I can tell you, either we did it or we didn't do it. All the other, things will make it easier to build. It'll make it, perform better, but I want to see it firsthand. So let's get the car finished, drop the hammer, and we'll let the car be the judge of that, I'm excited about the Mark V because I remember I got in the first prototype that my brother and I did, and it was 1995. I took it in the backwoods of Dartmouth, and I was out for about 20 minutes, and I remember pulling in and saying, like, we're gonna kill. This is a good car. And I feel like this car has to deliver that same feeling to me. It has to say, this is so much better than the Mark IV. And it's a tough hurdle to clear. I mean, the Mark IV is a great car. It's our best-selling car and has been for 30 years. So we'll see. Let's finish it up and put it through its paces.
Behind this door is some top secret stuff they've been working on for a long time, and I finally got permission to go in, but you can't. Not yet.
The guy I used to work for always told me, Smith, do something better every day. And with the Cobra, that was probably the biggest leap, because I said to Jim and Jesper in engineering, I said, guys, pretend Factory 5 is your competitor and look at the Mark IV. It's the best-selling, best engineered, best performing Cobra replica in the world. Make it better. I mean, make it better by a log scale. Design a new Factory 5 Cobra that harkens back to 30 years ago. So the Mark V, it really is our best work. I think it's going to light the world on fire, and I can't wait to see the hardtop and some of the features like the carbon body, the forged arms on the suspension, more space in the cockpit. Trying to get more space out of a Cobra, I mean, it's almost impossible. It's a short wheelbase car, and you can't mess with the dimensions, right?
Jim Skank and Jesper Ingerslev are the lead engineers on the Mark V and have been working towards this project for several years.
The biggest thing on the Mark V is the chassis, which is all new. So basically what we did is when we designed our Gen 3 coupe a few years back, we had this in the plan that we were going to eventually update the Mark V chassis with that style of chassis. So that was kind of in the beginning stages of that chassis being drawn.
With the new chassis being a complete departure from the Mark IV, there is a lot of development that went into creating a better version.
With the Mark V, we're changing from a twin tube chassis to a space frame as well, just like, very, very similar to the coupe. So that's been able to stiffen the frame substantially.
You know, so that's really like what sets the entire project, is that chassis.
Jesper and Jim have already gone through and assembled most of the chassis, and we are thrilled to jump in and lend a hand to help finish the very first Mark V. The next step is installing the body, which is the same body as the Mark IV and goes on pretty much the same as well.
Looks good. Body goes right on.
This one is unfinished and still in gel coat since this is a pre-production model. The hood and doors can be fitted since we are planning to drive this Bullet on the street, and many hands make light work. One of the exciting and brand new features that is available with the Mark V is a fiberglass hardtop specific to the car. This is the very first one out of the mold and is getting test fit on a Cobra for the very first time.
I'm not too worried about the fit, but really the most important thing is the look of the top and how it's going to look on a finished body, finished car. We have never seen that. Top just came out of the mold yesterday. So we've seen the shape of the top itself and kind of mocked up on a plug, but nothing on a car. So that's a big moment for us, because really the looks of the top are everything.
This is insane because it looks like a different car, because everybody kind of knows what the Cobra looks like. You have that image in your head, and with one piece you can totally change the look of the car, and it's super functional too.
You want to put the glass in it? Just give us an idea what it's going to look like, even though it's not real glass. You got to kind of step back a little bit and see it, because it's the overall shape that we're looking at, but I'm happy. I think it looks good. I think it gives a whole different look to the car.
In the past, there have only been less appealing aftermarket options, and Factory 5 wanted to create a sleeker and more eloquent piece reminiscent of old Italian designs.
Still vintage looking, but you know, like a top that was designed with the body and not after the fact.
But this is designed for the car, it's shaped to the car, and it looks killer. And they've done it, and you can literally put one piece on and it totally changes the car. That's amazing.
It's really slick. Now the top can come off. The mock-up went great and everybody loves the way it looks. back to the work. We have to get the stuff back on the car that has to go on before it hits the highway. And it's the little things like the windshield, the rear view mirror, and all the things that have to happen so it can be an actual legal street car.
So it's going to be a fantastic race car. We've got our challenge car that we built with Logano last time. That's on a Mark IV chassis. We're going to have to follow this up with a Mark 5R, which is going to be the race chassis with a full cage. But yeah, it's got to be a race car and performance car first. But you know, a race car is an efficient design, and you do a good job on the race car side, soften up the springs and the shocks, and all of a sudden you got the best road car in the world. So it's got to be both.
Coming up, we take our one-of-one top off our one-of-one prototype and get it ready for the road.
With the sweet new hardtop back off the car from mock-up, we can continue with the assembly of Factory 5's newest creation, the very first Mark 5 Cobra. Being engine builders, we were happy to lend a hand when needed, but the Factory 5 crew also had massive help from the experienced members of the build school at Mott Community College.
So we're here to look at the Mark V and see all the changes and everything. We've been doing the build school for a very long time, so this is just part of the relationship that we have with Factory 5. Actually, the college started the build school about 24 years ago, and so I kind of started as a helper early on, and then been teaching the class for quite a while now.
So I'm in charge of the build school at Mott, and I brought 3 instructors down here to learn about the new Mk5, how to build it, so we can bring that back to our students and teach them how to build them. I have a world map on our wall, so every time a student comes in, we have them put a pin from where they're from. And there is very few, if any, countries that we haven't had somebody from. So they come from all over the world for the school. So it's just this partnership's just been great for Mott.
This is a completely different frame, so everything from the stiffness, the rigidity of the frame, how some of the components are bolt on, just the amount of extra cockpit space, the fact that you're going to get more leg room, more headroom. So for somebody who's taller or bigger, they're going to fit in the car a whole lot easier than they did before. Because that's always the trouble with a small car like this, is getting everybody to fit. So this car is really answering a lot of those questions for people, or going to fix a lot of problems for people.
To begin with, you know, on the Mark II, we started using the 460, which is now basically mostly gone away. And the Godzilla is brand new as of now. And we've heard some interest from customers in using it. And Ford's got the control pack, so it's an EFI engine, it's plug and play. And so we wanted to make sure that we could fit it in the car. We primarily have designed the car around the Coyote engine because of its width with the overhead cams. But we also needed to make sure that the length, you know, will fit this as well, because it is a huge engine. It's tight in the engine bay, but it fits. You know, we have headers for it. You know, we know what we used, and we can tell customers, you know, what we suggest compared to the Coyote, which is, I would say, 5 inches forward of that. It's a huge difference. I think it's a almost 200-pound difference compared to a Coyote. So we'll deal with that with spring rates. I mean, like I said, we used the 460 before, so it's not really a departure, it's an improvement.
There are only a few small details that need to be finished on the car to make it road legal and safe to hit the streets. Things like installing the windshield, final adjustment of the hood, and latch installation, driver roll bar, wiring for the vehicle lights, door adjustment and latches, side exhaust, and the wheels and tires. It's a lot of little things, but with the help from the build school, it only took about an hour and a half to get wrapped up, which is testament to the ease of assembly on these cars.
It's a very unique business where the customer of ours builds the car, right? So we talk them through the process a lot of times, you know, from beginning to end, and we get tons of feedback and buildability and, you know, unique things that they added or changed, and all of that over time we're just kind of documenting it.
Prototype stuff is really, really interesting and also fun, because it's one of those things where sometimes you can run into challenges that you weren't really expecting, and that's the difference between people who just engineer stuff and people who build stuff. These guys build these cars, and so the idea is that they're gonna put this together as many times as they can and test it so that when it gets to a consumer level, everything's as scienced out as possible. So they're not only just engineering it, they're actually the ones building it. That way they can iron out these details, make it easier for the person, whoever's gonna be building it.
If I think about the Mark V, it's kind of the story of the whole company. It's like, you've got Jesper and Jim, 28 and 29 years they've worked here, and this is their career. And I think the Mark V is their opus, you know? They really have put their heart and soul into it. And I think when people see it, they'll realize, my goal is to blow people's minds. And, you know, why do we have to do that? We don't. We're doing great with the Mark IV. We have to do it because that's the nature of Factory 5. We want to get better every day. We want to do something better. And, yeah, I mean, this is my legacy, and this is kind of how I've decided to make my noise, and I don't want to do it, you know, half-baked. I want to do it full throttle.
Coming up, we take this one-of-one prototype out of the shop and put some power down on the street. You see us filing piston rings here a lot in Engine Power, but in today's Summit Racing Tech Tip, we wanted to go over piston ring end gap and how to know how much you need. When we're talking about piston ring end gap, what we are describing is the air gap between the ends of the piston ring as it gets compressed into the cylinder bore. And we measure this in thousandths of an inch. And it's very important that we get this right, because if it is too tight, when everything is up to temperature and the engine is under full load, you could potentially butt the ends of the rings together, which can cause damage to the piston ring, the cylinder wall, and even the piston. Now, there's two types of piston rings you can get. You can get a pre-gap set like a stock replacement like this one. Usually these are gapped for a stock replacement application at that bore size. So usually that's 4.5 thousandths per inch of bore, which would be 18 thousandths on a 4-inch bore. When we're talking about the high performance world, the ring gap depends on the application because different cylinder pressures and different power levels have different heat ranges. And again, we need to make sure that gap is correct. So when you buy a file fit piston ring set, which means we're gonna set the ring gap on our own, it usually comes with a spec sheet and has different power levels or different applications that you can base your ring gap off of. So say for a 4-inch bore with this ring set, we wanted to do mild boost up to 15 PSI. That's 5.5 thousandths per inch of bore on both the top and second ring, which would be 22 thousandths on our 4-inch bore. So this is how we determine what our ring end gap should be based off the application. And remember, it's always a little better to have it a little big than a little tight. But if you have any questions about what ring set would be right for you or what ring end gap you need, you can talk to the experts at Summit Racing Equipment.
Always fun when a new project sees the light of day. Yeah. This is all learning. We got a Godzilla and a new chassis, a lot of things that need to be sorted out. Hey, we're out and we're driving. I think it's awesome. Now, how does this feel compared to the Mark IV to you?
You can actually feel how much more rigid it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's much more direct.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually sprung softer. Or the shocks are softer.
I'm impressed with how good the ride is.
Because the chassis is stiff, we were able to soften it up.
Okay.
But it doesn't feel any less responsive.
I would call that a success because we still got all 4 wheels on it, nothing fell off. Actually, I was very, very impressed, like I say, with the ride quality and all that stuff. So you guys did a nice job.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always a good first drive.
Yeah, it's always nice.
Home, right?
We made it.
How was it?
It was really cool.
Yeah.
How's the throttle response? It sounded a little kind of
Yeah, it's a little
bit.
snappy. I think it
Yeah.
needs to go to the you know, the dyno and get tuned.
Yeah.
But it's drivable.
This is plug and play right from forward. The
Just the
computer?
way it is, yeah.
All right.
Oh, nice.
Well, let's take it for a run.
Yeah, let's go.
You guys are up.
I'm dying. Oh, Jim, these are new harnesses. I forgot.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That seat's on track also if you want to
Ooh, that's roomy.
move it at all.
Give it a try. We'll just warm on the tires, huh?
Stable.
Yeah, it
Like,
drifts good.
It's not laying in. It is nice.
I just hit nice and easy
Yeah.
throttle, nice and easy steering. Yeah, let's go for a little drive.
Yeah,
It'll be
man.
fun.
Let's go.
feedback. Like, I'm getting to know this car. It just feels a certain way, you know?
I mean, like you, I know, have a ton of experience with that. So once you get in a car, within 5, it's like talking to somebody. Within 5 minutes, you
Or a
can
boat
tell
or
what
a
that car's
plane or
gonna
anything.
do.
It just
Yeah.
is, you can feel this, like it just likes certain things.
So the chassis, is it everything that you kind of thought it would be?
I didn't know what to expect, but you know, it's 3 times as stiff. I mean, the whole battle is steering, throttle, brake, gears, all these things that you can use to change the attitude of the car. But you don't want any of those variables to be going like this. It's gonna be all linear. That was a good time, man. It was fun. That was fun, man.
Sounds great. This is, I mean, it's a solid car. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
and this
yeah.
is the first one. That's what's crazy, you know.
The first car, you always got to figure them out, right? So, you know, being part of the first one, you know, the one of one, if you will. So that's a neat feeling. We're super pumped to be here and just experience all of this because this doesn't happen for us.
Hey, Jim, Jesper, you guys, great job, man.
Thanks.
That's a great car. Yeah, I think it's got a lot of room for improvement. It's a fantastic platform. I feel like it is starting 10 times ahead of where the Mark IV leaves off. Hey, thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun, man.
Thank you.
Glad you guys were out here. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks very much.
Great time. Good time, man. Thank you.